All I'm saying is Morgan Wallen did nothing wrong.
He didn't. And you cannot call a chair a deadly weapon. And just because the chair fell from 6 stories doesn't mean it's a deadly weapon.
Also, like, he's the best country artist out there right now. And, like, Nashville's known for country. So what are you going to do? Put him in jail? Welcome back, everyone, to episode 28 of the Coconut Curry podcast. On this episode, we are going to discuss March Madness, both the men's and women's side of the tournament just recently wrapped up. We're also going to be discussing the NBA drama, NBA chaos, and team standings heading into the playoffs because right now, the play-in tournament, all those seedings are very much alive. It's getting very exciting. Before we do that, if you're new around here, we are 3 college students at the University of Pittsburgh. I'm Justin. We have Raj on today. Unfortunately, Peter was not able to join us. Maybe he'll make a guest appearance later. And we're on all platforms, video, on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify for audio only. We're just chatting about sports, hopefully offering a fresh new perspective on things. So please like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a lot. If you have been watching for a little bit, you may have known that the content's been lacking a little bit, whether that be audio, video problems, or just weeks off.
Just anything.
Hopefully at this point, it's all situated. We had some audio issues a couple weeks ago. Had to take last week off. We were in Nashville the other week before that. So more consistency coming at you soon, especially as we get into NBA playoff season. NFL draft is coming up soon.
He's back. Joel Embiid. I'm so happy. 6-game win streak. Let's go.
It's great. We usually react to comments as the first segment of our shows, but we have none to react to just because content's been lacking for technical issues. But our favorite segment, Disgruntled Moment of the Week, is here. So, Raj, I want to kick it to you. What has made you dissatisfied or angry this week?
So on Tuesday, me, Justin, and one of our other friends, well, my girlfriend now, forgot I can say that now.
Flipping that.
That was bad, but still, we decided to go on a walk, and I'm notorious for driving everywhere because I despise walking. I feel like it makes it, I need extra time, and I'm very lazy, so I drive everywhere. And we went, it was like nice weather, I enjoy walking sometimes, but other times,
I don't know about that.
It depends. If we're like chatting about stuff and whatever, walking's enjoyable. Not when you have to walk uphill. My calves hurt, my legs hurt. I was dying.
To be fair, you're not built to walk.
I'm not built to walk. Short, stubby legs. My feet reach the pedals much easier than walking up the hill. So, anyway, I mean, I don't hate walking, but some days I'd rather just
preferable
drive.
not to walk.
Yes, because we walked far.
It's actually really funny that you hate to walk because your house is so far away from campus.
Well, that's why I drive everywhere.
Yeah, because it's so far. But I'm saying you would think with how much you hate walking, it would just be closer to everything. Your on-campus apartment your second year was really far away from campus. Your house now is really far away from campus, and you hate walking, so you're reliant on the car.
Well, you save a little money on rent by living a little further. I guess that gets offset with my gas prices because I drive everywhere, but
I feel like the gas prices for driving so short here.
It's not that bad.
Especially your junior and senior year. Other people watching might know this. You just don't go into class as much. Classes tend to be one day a week, or we're at work, or not taking a full credit schedule. Yeah. Okay. Might not want that on tape.
It's okay. Whatever. Rescind me, please.
My disgruntled moment of the week is the Philadelphia Phillies. So we have not talked about it. Opening week of baseball has concluded. And Raj and I, both being Phillies fans, I definitely think since the World Series a couple years ago, we've gotten more into it. I've watched almost every Phillies game this season. But my God, did they drive me up the wall. So granted, we are 6-6 at this moment in time. A game just wrapped up earlier today. We were recording Wednesday. So that's okay. That's all good. But this team, I swear to God, they cannot hit the baseball.
Nope.
At all. Look, the strength of the team is supposed to be hitting the baseball. Kyle Schwarber's a DH. Hits a lot of home runs. Hit a lot last year, even though his batting average was terrible. Nick Castellanos, notoriously good hitter. JT, Bryce, Alec Boehm, Bryson Stott, who batted 300 last year. Trey Turner, who batted 330 one year when he was with the Dodgers. All great hitters. They are constantly striking out. Runners in scoring position. Ground out, double play turn. It drives me up the wall because we've lost some of these games too. And there was a stat out there after our first 10 games that our starting pitchers were had a 1.65 ERA. Absurd. And the Phillies were 4-5 in those games because they can't actually hit the baseball at all.
We can't give run support to anyone on our team. And even today, I think we had bases loaded, and then Schwarber struck
bases loaded, or 2 runners on, 1 out. Schwarber strikes out. Trey Turner strikes out, grounds out, whatever, innings over. It's mind-boggling how bad this team can be sometimes at like doing these things. Like it drives me up the wall. And you got all these other teams in the league. Oh, we've got him joining. He spawned in.
I love setting alarms for AM instead of PM.
Yeah, so anyway, can't stand the Phillies. Short season is 162 games. We are in game 12, and I am pissed off, angry. Johan Rojas should go be sent down to AAA. He can't hit a baseball. I'm honestly confident. Like sometimes you watch baseball players who can't hit the ball, and you try to think to yourself, like, listen, like I try not to like think that I can be better than pros. But when you bat like 4%, so 0.04, I could stand up there and just guess and get 4%, I think. Like it's almost like I wonder if you try too hard at a certain point, because like I could stand there and just like close my eyes and just try to like swing, and maybe I'd get lucky, and that would
throw a bunt down. You could just like throw your bat
and just get lucky.
Yeah.
Or if I batted 0%, like what's really the difference? Like sometimes these people batting are double negatives. They'll like ground out into a double play. Whereas like I would just at least strike out. Like I'm a guaranteed out, but I'm not going to guarantee 2 outs because I'm not going to make contact. And by any chance, like something happens, like a wild pitch or anything, I could run and maybe get lucky. Like, I don't know. Some of these bad, like, I'm like, I feel like we have too long of a leash here. Johan Rojas, like, he laid a couple hits down recently, but God, that guy's terrible.
I think he's heating up right now. Who knows? I mean,
he got a hit today.
He went 3 for 4.
He got a hit today, though, where, like, it's like one of those hits where, like, you hit it and it kind of just, like, lofts over, like a weak hit over, like, a shortstop and second base, drops in right before the center fielder, and you're like, wow, that was a soft ass hit.
Yeah, that's
or the
true.
one that like you like hit to third base and they kind of like bobbled a little bit and then they had the throw too late and you're like, that's not really a hit, but it gets counted as a hit because it's not technically an error. And I'm like, does that really count? Like, no. So Johan Rojas, you need to get sent down to AAA, get your confidence back. I don't want to be that guy, but like, there's other players who can take your spot. Like, you're not an MLB player right now.
Because
I apologize.
The bad thing is, Pache could just be picked up or traded or whatever.
Yeah,
which is not a good thing for us if he's gone.
Like, listen, I don't like to be that. Like, I don't like to like put other people down. But when you're batting that bad, like even Castellanos, who's had a terrible. This is a baseball rant. Now he's had a terrible start to the season. Like, he's still batting at least 12%.
He did hit a homer during the earthquake, though.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Did he not?
No.
Oh, I got baited.
Yeah.
I wasn't paying attention.
He's at least batting 12%, like, and he's having a bad start. He's having a bad start. Rojas hit one ball during the entire Diamondback series. First 12 games has hit like 3 balls. This is like now we've got a big enough sample size to know this guy is not good at baseball. Well, specifically batting. But you know what? That's 50% of baseball. You can't be bad at 50% of the sport. That's like a basketball player who can play no defense. And you're like, well, he's a really good guy on offense. He's like, yeah, but he's like a liability defensively. You know who that is? Duncan Robinson. You know who never plays in the playoffs? Duncan Robinson.
There's a difference between being bad at a certain aspect of a sport and being an actual liability to your team.
Yes. You could be serviceable.
Yeah. You could be like fine batting like what? You could be batting like 200. Like not good, but you can at least get on base a decent amount. This dude's like actually batting into double plays and like losing them games.
I almost equate it to the reason they took the pitchers out of batting was because it was bad for the sport.
It was
because
just a liability.
Because everyone just goes up. They don't have competitive at bats. They don't practice batting. It's just a waste of time, injury risk, whatever. That's why they got rid of pitchers hitting the ball. But when you have someone like Johan Rojas, who's on the Phillies right now, batting in the 9th hole, it is the equivalent of having a pitcher bat.
Yeah.
You're going back to having a liability as your 9th.
Instead of having a DH, you have another.
Yes, it's so bad. Like it's like adding another pitcher onto our lineup. Now listen, he might get better. I don't think he's going to bat 0.04. He's probably up to 0.07 or 8 now.
That's insane.
He's not going to bat that the entire season, but am I confident he's going to get to like 20% to 0.200? Not at all. I'm not confident in the slightest. So that's my disgruntled moment of the week.
He's up
0.161 right now.
0.161.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's up to 16%.
Yeah.
Still bad. And it's a short season, and I'm gonna tell you the hit he got today was a joke. And he laid down a bunt yesterday that got him a hit. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, you know what? If you just cannot bat for the life, you throw down some bunts and see what happens.
Something, and he's fast, so that helps.
And his on base percentage is terrible too.
Yes, because he's not good.
5.
So I love the Phillies. I'm really frustrated by the start they're having to the season, so that's why I'm disgruntled. Peter, welcome back to the pod.
Thank you. I love setting my alarm for 4:30 in the afternoon because I wanted to take a quick nap after my classes of like 30 minutes, and it turns out I set it for 4:30 in the morning. And
just brutal.
And oh boy, it's 6 o'clock right now. It is not that time.
We've all been there.
Yeah, so a little bit of a rough start to the pod.
The worst is when you set it for night, when you're supposed to wake up in the morning, like 9 a.m. and you set 9 p.m.
Like, yeah,
and you're actually like late to something. You're like, oh, there goes work.
Oh my god, yeah, that I've done that to myself once, but my internal clock has given me enough anxiety that I will wake up without the alarm now.
Yep.
And I'll just like look at it, and I'm like, this happened to me another time where because I always like make sure to like double check my alarm, whatever, and of course I set it for like the PM instead of AM. So it's like 7:30 and I have to get to work at 8, and I'm like, there is one bus I can catch, and it is 5 minutes away from me right now. I sprint to this goddamn bus to get there, but I was able to make it, thank God. Also, side note, Raj looks like a priest during Easter right now.
He does.
I don't know if this has been commented on yet, but
it has not been, actually. We just ignored it.
Yeah, he looks like a priest from like a more progressive church right here.
Like giving very Lent.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
the purple and the white. Like this is in character. There we go.
Yeah,
I didn't know you converted.
What do priests say?
Well, basically, they just
Amen.
go up. They talk about Jesus for a little bit. Somebody reads a story.
Okay.
And then
they break bread.
They break bread. The priest also has what's called a homily, which is basically just like a 5-minute stand-up routine that the priest does, and they try to like make jokes. And then
sometimes they land, sometimes they don't.
Sometimes it lands, sometimes it doesn't. And then they're like, be good people. Bye.
I was at a track meet this weekend and somebody was telling me about the time that their priest did a homily and was trying to like use God's plan. I think it was released in 2016. I think it's when God's plan came out. And so they tried to use God's plan, like the song from Drake, as like a way to...
This dude was... I can smell how white this dude is.
He's trying to communicate with like everybody, like the young kids at the time. And he just said that this was like the worst like homily ever given in his entire life.
Yeah.
It's like
Drake.
It's like Drake said, guys, it's God's plan. It's like,
the pastor at my church that I went to in my hometown, he was a Jets fan, so he would always leave his homily, and we pray for the Jets. They never won.
Yeah. Prayers ain't working there, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
The Jets need more than a prayer.
It was so funny.
Yeah, God's plan was 2018. I got to fact check myself
That's
on that.
Still 6 years ago, though.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, back on schedule.
Anyway,
I was going to mention when I was jet lagged coming back from India last summer and I had work. I like tried to do a nap. So I was doing like sometimes I get back at like 5, take a nap to 6, whatever, to just like get some rest, whatever. Then one day when I was supposed to wake up at like 6:30 for work, I accidentally set my 6 p.m. alarm and I just like woke up at 10 and just texted my boss and I'm like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm like, I'm coming in now.
Please don't fire me.
And now I have like the worst anxiety where I'm like 20 different alarms.
Oh my god!
An alarm set on an alarm set, especially when you're like going on to work on like 5 hours of sleep. It's like I have my HomePod alarm on, my phone alarm on. I have an alarm on my watch that will like buzz and everything. And usually I wake up on the first alarm and then I have to turn everything off in the morning.
It just sounds like an air raid going off.
And I'm like yelling at the HomePod. I'm like, please turn off your alarm. Go to my watch, like 20 different alarms down on my phone. I'm like, please all turn off. Like,
I swear to God, I'm awake.
I need to like improve this for like when I go off to medical school.
Dude,
and, like I need to like limit it to like 3 alarms or something. Like it's so like anytime I set an alarm now, it's like 90 alarms. And I'm like, we've got to be better at this.
We gotta be better than that. Oh Christ.
Anyway, that's disgruntled moment of the week. Hope you enjoyed that. Really took some detours there, but I liked what we did with that segment. Anyway, moving on to March Madness. Both sides of the tournament, as I mentioned, have wrapped up. We're going to start with the women's side of things. South Carolina, unfortunately, completes the undefeated season. And the reason I said unfortunately is I hate when like one team is just extremely dominant, and like to a point where you can't do anything about it. It reminds me of the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, where South Carolina, like people be like, oh, they didn't win last year. How are they that dominant? They are. In the last 2 seasons, they have not lost a game besides the game that they lost to Caitlin Clark. They're like 82-1 in their last like 83 games.
I think they are. I think that's like they're 161-3 in the past,
believe
like,
it.
2 years.
It's ridiculous. And Dawn Staley, coach of South Carolina, deserves all the credit. The girls on the team deserve all the credit for playing great basketball.
South Carolina is a ridiculously good basketball team.
But God, I wish there was some like parity on like in terms of who can actually win. Because South Carolina was 6.5-point favorites going into the game.
They won by how much?
They won
9 or 10.
Yeah, they covered the spread. Never a doubt all year for them. And so congratulations to them. But I wish that some women's programs could start recruiting at the level that South Carolina can, or they can pull some of those recruits, because it is kind of like, this is the problem where the women's side of the bracket tends to be a lot more predictable because the top heavy teams are very top heavy, and South Carolina just wins every year.
Yeah.
Iowa finishes second for the second straight year in a row. Caitlin Clark never did get the ring.
Nope.
But it was a tournament run last 2 years,
for
but
the
specifically
ages,
this year for the ages. I remember that I watched the LSU game. She has 41 in that game. Just ridiculous.
She was just pulling up from anywhere.
Yep.
She was. Who was the girl in
Haley
LSU?
Van Lith.
Haley Van Lith.
She was getting cooked.
Yeah, dude. I will say, what's some of my favorite memes that have been coming out recently? It's like, women's basketball is on the come up now when they have people bashing like girls on Twitter that they're terrible at basketball.
You're right.
Old heads coming in and bashing about the new generation of women coming up. And people dropping the craziest takes you have ever seen in your life about women's basketball. I'm so happy for women's basketball.
It's actually really funny because everybody like now suddenly like this happens in sports media when things are popular, people talk about it, but it's like now suddenly everyone's like giving takes on, I guess we're doing it, but like giving takes on women basketball. And it's like, y'all didn't talk about women basketball for the last 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everybody wants to talk about it now.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's really positive. Caitlin Clark obviously has done a lot for the women's basketball game.
Huge amount of.
But it's really on, in my opinion, like this next group of women that play next year to really keep it going, like Paige Beckers, Juju Watson.
Yeah.
Like they need to continue what's going on here, because this could fizzle out quickly. Like if you don't have a lot of good names, good players coming through and performing, it's like Caitlin's going to the WNBA and she's already doing crazy numbers. I don't know if people have like read the stories. Like if you go look at an Indiana Fever game against your hometown WNBA team, the ticket prices are going to be about 20% higher than
just to watch Caitlin Clark,
just because people want to go and watch Caitlin Clark. And like low key, like I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I would if
that'd be awesome.
If Philadelphia had a WNBA team,
Pittsburgh had a WNBA team,
I would be like, let me see if I can get tickets to go see the Indiana Fever game, because that's where she's going to get drafted. So it's just been really cool to see. Like, I feel like there's a couple of sports moments where this has happened. I was a little bit young when LeBron was winning his championships. This is one of the first times I feel like I've witnessed like a generational player in their prime just like change the game.
Yeah.
Like it could be 20 years later where women's basketball is extremely popular. The WNBA is doing great. And I'm going to be like, well, actually, I was around and watched Caitlin Clark in college when she like really changed the sport.
Yeah,
and I think that's really cool. I don't know if there's been any other athletes during our time.
Well, I mean, Wembanyama's probably going to do it.
Yeah, he might. Yeah.
But he's still like because he's what 20. Like,
well, what's interesting about basketball is Michael Jordan, LeBron James have set the bar so high that like Giannis, we thought that could have been Giannis. We thought this could be Luka. Those guys have not lived into that, like living up to that expectation. There's still time, obviously. Yeah. But it's like, Wemby's a guy that could do it. Like even Tiger Woods did it for golf, but I was still young when Tiger Woods was doing it
we were
golf.
We were still young. It was like early 2000s, so we didn't really like understand what was happening. Yeah. But Tiger Woods is another one of those guys where it's like, he always wore the red Nike polo. He got sponsored by Nike. Like,
of course, he was a black golf athlete, which was like breaking down that barrier.
Huge barrier to break down, especially with like the socioeconomic implications of all that. Like it was huge, but we were also like still playing with like we were playing with like Skylanders and stuff. Like we were not paying attention to what was going on in golf.
The Skylander pull is crazy.
I know.
But so I'm very excited to see what happens from the WNBA side of things. It's very like you can tell people feel the moment because the WNBA is tweeting about the game that's going on. Like you can see them; they're live tweeting about how awesome the college game is. You would never see the NBA tweeting about the Purdue UConn game because they don't need that support, but the WNBA is trying to capitalize on it. And I think it's super exciting.
What I also think is really cool is like kind of just like the general narrative around like women's basketball, I think is legitimately changing, which is crazy to see in real time because like whenever you would like before, like a couple of years ago when you would like look at like an NBA page or an ESPN and they would post something about women's basketball, it's like, oh, who cares? Like, who cares? Whatever. But then you get posts now about players like Caitlin Clark, players like Paige, I forget her last name. Beckers. And
Angel Reese, the villain herself, according to the Washington.
No, but whatever. But
let's talk about the Washington Post.
Well, we'll get into a lot of that. But what I'm saying now is like you can still get those detractors that are like, oh, they couldn't do it, but then you get like actual like basketball fans that are like, dude, shut up. Like,
Yeah.
this is like, they have such obvious and like tangible talent that you can see where it's like it would translate almost directly into a men's game where like you can just watch how Caitlin Clark shoots. It's ridiculous. And it's like, I can't do that. That's crazy.
And this is piggybacked off of like Sabrina Ionescu doing this 3-point shooting challenge with
Oh,
Steph.
she was like keeping up with him.
And she was keeping up with him. She was shooting from the NBA line. The only thing she changed was the women's ball, obviously,
because
it's a smaller
she
ball
practiced
and,
with it her entire life. So obviously,
exactly.
shooting with that.
And so, like, you kind of have these narratives stacking, like, right? What would a Caitlin Clark, Steph Curry, WNBA like NBA crossover shoot?
Yeah.
Like, what would that look like? What about a Sabrina and Caitlin Clark
Yeah,
versus
like-
Steph and Dame?
Exactly.
The NBA,
yeah.
like, what does that do for the women's game? What is numbers that?
Yeah.
Because that was the coolest part of All-Star Weekend. We all said was like seeing that like that shoot off happen, and now you add Caitlin Clark, who Caitlin Clark is a Steph Curry comp. You watch how she plays basketball, and it's an easy comp to make, but it's the accurate comp. She like moves like Steph. She's running around the court like crazy. So it's just super cool to see in real time.
Oh yeah.
And of course, UConn gave him a great run. They were doing everything possible to try to stop her.
Yeah.
Including throwing a moving screen at the end where
Yep.
everybody started crying.
Yeah.
You can't make that
Okay,
call.
I want to do a quick thing on this. When we see fouls at the end of games, this happens in the NFL, NBA, any sport. When you see fouls at the end of games that are actual fouls, and you say you can't call that in that situation, I understand what you're saying. That has happened all game. They didn't call it. But it doesn't change the fact that it's still a foul in the moment. If I stole from CVS for every day of the week for the last 6 days, and then on the 7th day I got caught, and I was like, "You can't arrest me now."
I've been doing this for so long.
this for 6 days. Like,
Yeah.
You can't arrest me. It's like it doesn't change the fact that in that exact moment,
It is a foul. Yeah.
it was still illegal. Like I still stole from the store. It doesn't matter if it was chippy. Like I've stole like a car from a car dealership before, and this time I got just caught stealing like
it's still
some
illegal.
allergy medicine. It's like it's still illegal. It's still not allowed. So
Yeah.
I don't understand this narrative of like I don't like that call in that moment. It's like how about you just set an actual screen? And then people are pulling up 2016 Warriors Andrew Bogut triple screening guys against the
like
Cleveland.
yes, that also was.
It was a foul. It didn't get called, and it was 2016 finals in the NBA. Like we're not even talking about a
like
comp here.
remotely the same
The
thing.
officiating crew isn't the same thing. They're like,
Yeah.
I've seen moving. Like they didn't call this a moving screen. It's like this is not even like we're not even like this is 2024 versus 2016. It's a different officiating crew. It's a different basketball league. It's a different genders. Like I don't know. Like what are we doing here?
Maybe
Like,
don't throw a moving screen.
yeah.
Raj, stop talking with intelligence, all right? Because also, side note, off of that, Raj, she didn't need to set a moving screen. It was a tie game. You don't need to shoot the three, so you don't need to extend that far. You just needed to close the gap just a little bit and get in their way to then let Paige go to the rim. But it was the most moving screen ever.
Yeah, like you can't make the claim that it wasn't a moving screen. So it's like, okay, it wasn't a moving screen. I just don't like that it was called in that tight situation. Fine. You can be upset that you didn't get to see the outcome of the play, but don't start being like, I don't like the call, like that call in that situation, and being like, they shouldn't have called that. It's illegal.
Like you can't don't set the moving screen if you don't want to get called for a moving screen.
Draw up a better play. Work on your fundamentals.
Exactly.
Set your goddamn feet and stand still.
And also, like you're coming out of a timeout where like the number one thing a coach should be saying, and maybe the coach did say it, was
do
like,
not mess up.
Like, your job is to stand still and don't set
Yeah.
a moving screen. Like you're a key part of the play. If you set a moving screen, the play is dead. We lose the game.
God.
So like I hate it happens all over. Like it's like even like the Eagles Super Bowl. It's like the idea with the James Bradbury hold. It's like I don't like them calling a hold on James Bradbury in a situation. Well, you can't hold them. Like it's still a foul.
Like, is it a ticky-tack foul? Yes, but it objectively was a foul.
Yeah,
like,
I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over
Really
it. I'm
not
over it.
We're
I'm
still
over
talking
it.
about it.
You James Bradbury.
God
I
dang
hate you. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm over it.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
You cost the city a parade.
Cost Jason Kelsey another ring.
I know.
Anybody else have anything to say about the women's side of the tournament?
I like women's basketball.
Yeah,
It was fun to
It's
watch.
cool.
I liked the LSU game. Caitlin
That was
Clark was getting chirpy.
She was. Oh my god, that was so good.
And I think the Washington Post smear piece on Kim Mulkey?
Yeah.
Kim Mulkey.
I thought that just added fuel to
That
the
was
fire.
so funny.
So funny.
They said that LSU versus UCLA was good versus evil.
Yeah,
that was insane. That was the
Yeah.
most biased thing I've ever seen.
They called the
Well,
LSU
so-
players like dirty debutantes
did.
or something.
They did.
That was nuts.
Yeah, that's actually the exact quote. The Washington Post article was so out of pocket. If you have not had an opportunity to read it, I would
It's
recommend you.
hilarious.
I would recommend you read it because it's an article rooted in probably racism and like classism, and it's a whole entire like
It's a whole thing.
bad read. But if you want to see what bad journalism looks like, you can go
That's
read that
like
post.
textbook 101. How did this get printed?
Yeah. And but
insane.
what's weird about the whole thing is like Washington Post writer came out afterwards and was like, "Yeah, I probably was like a little bit biased when I wrote this," and it was like, "You think?"
Like, it's absolutely. It was. And what's so funny is that like. Obviously, sports media was clearly trying to then also push this kind of like hot topic where they kept trying to pit Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark against each other when they both literally have said, no, like we're just competitors.
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you guys?
Yep.
Like they've said so many times where it's like, oh, well, Angel Reese is getting in her face and is showboating in front of her about that. And then Caitlin Clark's walking off the court and doesn't care at all because that's what competitors do. And then like during the LSU game this year, Caitlin Clark has turned to the crowd saying they can't guard me, like firing everybody up. And then Angel Reese is just like, yeah, you can't. Throw it on the shoulders.
Like, right,
just,
there's nothing
they
we
made
can
that
do.
one
Right.
thing. Haley Van Lith just looked. She's like,
Yeah, like, all right, like,
can
we
I
can't
do?
anything
Yep.
because that's what competitors do. People in the NBA, NFL, they all do this. Stop making this a bigger deal than it is.
And you want to know what's going to be fun? Angel Reese is going to go to the WNBA next
And we're
year.
gonna have beef,
And
and
there's
it's gonna
gonna
be
be an
good.
unless they're teammates.
No, they won't be.
They won't be.
Indiana Fever don't have a top 10 pick.
Yeah,
Again,
never mind.
after besides the first pick.
Never mind.
But like, it's a great opportunity for an Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark WNBA game.
This is our Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Here it is. This is it.
That's crazy. What's actually funny is like Angel Reese is like the way the media has talked about her would like make you think that she's going to be like a second or third overall pick in the WNBA.
She's not.
She's not. I think she's
Yeah.
projected at 7 right now. Like
Yeah.
she's actually not that skilled of a basketball player.
Mhm.
And so it's just really funny because they're like they'll make the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark. It's like Caitlin Clark's on a whole different like
Plane of
planet
existence,
than where
yeah.
Angel Reese is right now.
Yeah.
And that's not to slander Angel Reese at all.
No,
It's
she's
just,
still
like,
a very good player.
it's just like, funny that they draw these comps up.
And it's
And
just
then-
like,
My favorite comments are like Angel Reese 1 ring, Caitlin Clark 0, Angel better than Caitlin Clark, and I'm
it's
like,
okay, here we go. But
um,
that's how we know that women's
Exactly,
basketball is on
yep.
the come up because people make stupid ass arguments in comment sections about how good players are. It's up.
And it's just a shame like the Washington Post article like
oh yeah,
women's basketball is on the up, and then you have like an article coming out
tearing
just meant to
everybody
tear down the sport.
Yeah.
And it's like this is the time to promote the sport, to
Yeah.
bring the sport like up. And you obviously saw last year with the shoot like this year with the shoot competition at All-Star break. Like
Mhm.
now is the time to promote the sport.
Yeah.
Now is the time to like get it more popularity. And it's a shame that like somebody from the Washington Post decided just to write that.
Which also, like, Kim Mulkey does have some very questionable out of side of basketball takes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which could be
she
criticized.
was at January 6th.
That's what I was trying to. Yeah. So there's some, and also at one point there's some claims that she might have been homophobic at one point. So like, she's not like again, these are all allegations, accusations. We don't know anything, whatever. So there are things that journalists could have been looking into about that, of like taking an objective stance. But to then look at just like the LSU players that had nothing to do with her and be like, yeah, they're terrible people. It's like, what? What did they do?
Dirty debutantes.
like
That
how,
was
you're
insane.
calling 18 to 23-year-olds dirty
Yeah.
debutantes?
Like,
is it because Flau'jae Johnson's a rapper? Like, I'm
what do you want?
confused.
And that's like, I think that's like the big problem there. It's like, not only are you saying things you shouldn't be saying about athletes, not only are you saying things about athletes in a sport that needs to be promoted right now, you're saying this about 20-year-olds
Yeah.
who are like these, especially for the women's side of things, like they are funding their education through this because they don't have like a big earning potential in the
Yeah.
WNBA. Not like the NBA where these guys are going to be 2 years done, go to the NBA, their first contract's going to be $1 million. They'll have a brand deal or two, and then they'll be set for life. Like the women who go to the WNBA are like your business person salary who's
Yeah.
just living like not living paycheck to paycheck necessarily, but
It's not
they still
a
have to
crazy
work for-
paycheck.
yeah.
I want you to guess the highest salary in the WNBA right now.
it's probably like 1.2 million.
The highest is 241,000.
Per
Guess
year?
the per year, but guess the average.
The average is going to be like 77.
147.
Okay.
147. Okay.
That's actually a good average. Wow.
It's gone up definitely.
Yeah.
in the
It's
last-
gone up, but compared to like the NBA and the bigger markets, it's
ridiculous.
So let's say you are a $140,000 like you're living comfortably after a few years.
Yes, you're absolutely living
like
comfortably
that.
and everything.
But you're legitimately like working for. You can't just like not work under that salary.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you're like trying to tear down these women who
Yeah.
are going to go into a sport where they're not making that much money is just like
come on,
it's a shame.
what are we doing?
It's a shame.
Anyway,
Men's side of things,
boring.
UConn goes
UConn
back
wins,
to back.
whatever.
I actually thought it was a great tournament.
I wish I bet on UConn spread every game.
I feel like it was the initial part of the tournament was so absolutely insane, and then NC State had this crazy run. But then for UConn to win it at the end, it's like
I think the result. So I think we talked about this on our last episode about how it's good, and we were talking about this with our friends too. It is nice when like there's upsets, but you don't want to see a situation like last year was terrible.
oh yeah.
Obviously UConn won last year and they were 4 seed, but having a 4 seed UConn, 5 seed San Diego State in the final with a FAU 8 seed and a Miami 5 seed in the final four, that's not good for the sport.
Yeah.
Having these random teams people don't know about and don't have like a legacy to them making the final four. Viewers were down horrendous last year. Nobody was interested in the tournament. It is fun to have the upsets early, and that's what this tournament had. They had a few upsets: Yale beating Auburn, Kentucky going down to Oakland, the legend of Jack Golke, NC State obviously make a run, but I thought it was perfect. You had one seed in the final. It was a great game in the first half, and then you had
And then they just went, okay,
you had
Edie,
4 seed Alabama.
you could score.
You had 4 seed Alabama make a little bit of run
Yeah.
to the final four. That was good. You beat up 1 seed, like that little upset, and then you have a true Cinderella. NC State
State
through
making it pretty far,
yeah, and like I thought that all came together very nicely. Where I liked seeing a 1-4-11-1, and then having that come into a 1-on-1. I think Zach Edey versus
the entirety of UConn.
Gosh, why is his name escaping me right now? Clinging.
Yeah.
Like I forget his first name though, and it's bothering me. But having that be like a matchup that was a star matchup for the game, like that's super cool. Donovan.
Yeah, Donovan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was I thought that was super cool. Zach Edey does come up a bit short. 2 Naismith Players of the Year. No ring the show for it, but it was a good comeback from a brutal tournament appearance last year.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Because like, you made it to the finals. Like they still proved that like they were a great team, but I think there's just genuinely levels to how good UConn was, because like that team, Purdue ran through Zach Edey. And once UConn realized, okay, we'll just let him score, we can outscore as a team just Zach Edey and just shut everybody else down. That was game.
And that's what FDU did last year, and that's how they beat them.
That's how they beat them.
They're like, okay, we'll let Edey do everything. We're just gonna lock down everyone else, and
we're just gonna
won.
be chucking up threes and just be playing good defense and really forcing this game.
Yeah, and listen, Purdue, like even though they kind of got blown out at the end of that game, I think we can't take away from how great they still had a good tournament run. They survived a Dalton Connect crazy game against Tennessee.
True.
They had a hard path. Listen, they had to play obviously 16. Then they played 5 seed Gonzaga. A lot of people thought that was going to be a matchup. They lost. They came and played 2 Tennessee. They had to play NC State, sure.
NC State gave them a game too at some point.
Yeah, but like let's not forget, like NC State also had a tough tournament run. They won the ACC tournament. They beat a bunch of good teams like Marquette.
Yeah.
They beat Duke. Like this was not a true 11 seed.
Yeah.
So they had a tough go against it, and they ran into a team in UConn they are a pro team. When you watch some of the concepts they run on offense, like it's like
insane.
NBA concepts where a lot of times you're like, oh, you try to see a player go into the post, people run around a little bit, shoot a bad jump shot, whatever, get back. That's a lot of college basketball. UConn's actually running like plays and designs, especially like after watching like JJ Redick and LeBron's new podcast, I'm like looking at things in the court. I'm like, oh, they're running these concepts. They have a really good big man there. They have a good history. Their coach is really good. So UConn just dominant start to finish. The highest point differential of any tournament.
They were ridiculous.
Like they were just they're going to start to model how like to do tournament runs, because there was never a doubt in the tournament.
No.
Even when they were close first halves were them being up by a few points.
Yeah.
And then they would just create these massive gaps, and it was just so impressive.
They're beating teams by like averaging like 21 points.
Yeah, it was something ridiculous like that. I think if you like doubled down each time on UConn
Spread.
on UConn spread. Yeah. I think you would win like $200-something thousand.
That would be from last year's tournament to this last
like
final.
If you just kept doing it. Yeah.
I wish it was that easy.
Yeah. And we'll see what they have next year. Can they do a three-peat? They're gonna have a lot of players leaving, some people going to the draft, some people graduating.
But I mean, that's the UConn culture there. Like that. What's the coach's name there?
Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
He is like, you can like just tell kind of like his vibe is like, he reminds me of like a Nick Saban, a Bill Belichick, like some of these like all-time great coaches that's just like, I don't give who you are going to come into my program, run my schemes, and we're going to run it to the best of our ability, and I'm going to make you a champion.
Yeah. And I think what he highlighted a lot, Dan Hurley being him, highlighted a lot after the game, like how they recruit players. And he's like, I'm not recruiting people who are prima donnas or anything like that. He's like, I'm recruiting people who are going to buy into this team.
Exactly.
We're going to buy into the team vibe. And that's how they played. Like you go down the list of people who had their own moments. I mean, they made it sound like it was a Zach Edey, Donovan Clingan like competition, like one-on-one matchup between them. It was not. It was Zach Edey dominated that matchup. It was all those other players around UConn, Spencer, Castle, those guys. They really came out and played well. It was a really impressive run and something that I won't forget for a bunch of years. Being like, that was like just UConn start to finish. They were the most picked team by everyone to win the tournament. Same situation as last year. Purdue, highly picked team to win the tournament last year. They lose to the 16th seed in the first round. This year, UConn, highly picked by everyone. It was never a doubt.
Yeah.
Never a doubt.
Rush, can you pull up the box score of the game real quick? Because I think it was very clear that like Zach Edey was carrying Purdue. And then if you look
they made 1-3.
They made 1-3, which is god awful. But then if you look at like
the rest of the team,
look at UConn.
Like Edey 37, Braden Smith, their point guard 12.
Yeah,
their shooting guard or whoever he is 0.
Yeah.
Their other one 5, and their forward 4.
Yeah, exactly.
And then 2 bench points. You look at UConn.
Everybody has
Newton with 20, Caravan with 5, Spencer with 11, Castle with 15, Clingan with 11. Even their bench, Diarra 9. And then 4 for the other bench players.
It's spaced out between a couple different players, so that way it's like, okay, this guy has 10, this guy has 11, this guy has 5, this guy has, and it's just every single person on the team doing their job to win the game, and it was so impressive.
I did want to mention, a lot of people have talked about Zach Edey, how he's not skilled.
I hate him
and everything like that. This guy, whether people like it or not, he's going to be drafted, and he's going to go to the NBA. And honestly, like, he should get some love in the draft. What he did, like, people have said that Donovan Clingan is like an NBA prospect. People are really looking forward to him being in the draft, and they say he's a better prospect than Zach Edey. Zach Edey just hung 30 on him.
Yeah.
He hung 30 on everybody else in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are going to go to the NBA now. Right now, this year's class is not
super
strong, but this guy is going to go to the NBA and have an impact. Whether he's going to be a 30-minute, he's not going to be a 30-minute a night guy. Can he be a 10-minute? Is he going to be a G League guy? Who knows? We'll see. Obviously, Luka Garza came out of Iowa, was a really good center. He won Player of the Year. He's kind of been that relevant in the NBA. But everybody who's been like on this narrative, and I was definitely on this narrative a little bit before, of like Zach Edey has no chance in the NBA. Like, if you like, he just had a dominant tournament run where he was the best player on the team. Like, he is going to have success at the next level.
Absolutely. Like, he might not be the centerpiece on a franchise, but he will absolutely be a great role player to be able to.
And people got to give him credit. He played every minute of almost every single game that was close. He sat for like 30 seconds in the UConn game. He's 7'4" and ripped. Like he moves around very well.
7'4",
size,
like 285.
Something
like
that.
Like
he's not Wemby, but who else is Wemby?
Yeah, no one is
7'4" guy who can get around the basket. He's not that skilled. He's going to have to learn to branch out his game, but he's going to have a role in the NBA.
That hook shot is disgusting.
Yeah. So, I just want to like say that because I think there's this like, it's kind of like, honestly, I feel it's a little bit of a JJ McCarthy comp a little bit to football, where everyone's like, no one really likes the fact that JJ McCarthy is going to get drafted that high, but you're also like, he won. He was good as like a different play styles, but like this idea that JJ McCarthy, everyone's like, we don't want to draft him number 5 overall, but he's going to get drafted high overall.
Yeah.
Zach Edey is going to get drafted higher than people think he should be because they're just going to be like, he's tall and is no skilled, but he's going to get drafted high because he performed well.
Exactly.
So, shout out to Alabama, 4 seed takes down North Carolina. It's a good job, and I think the future of men's college basketball is definitely a little all over the place. The draft class this year is horrendous.
Yeah, it's so bad.
And right now there's a lot of like older players who are succeeding. And we talked about this a little bit on our last episode where you don't have, Jay Wright said it on a show. He was like, you don't have one and dones who come in. Like you think of Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, these kind of guys.
Yeah.
Who are like NBA people you think about now. Think about the recent people who are succeeding in the NBA. They're not like young kids. They're not coming from these programs where they're one and dones there. Like that era is over. So it's really going to be interesting to see like kind of what college basketball does going forward. I mean, hell, you got people like Bronny James just getting out of the NBA, NCAA, and not staying for a couple of years. So
I thought he was going to come to Pitt.
And the LeBron draft begins.
The LeBron draft.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that at some point. But any other notes on men's side of things?
No.
Thanks, UConn. You made me some money.
Yeah.
There
we go.
Pitt got screwed.
Yeah. Should have been in there. Virginia, frauds.
Shout out the ACC.
Shout out the ACC.
They really showed
Give
up.
us
on
more
tournaments.
tournament selections. The SEC does not deserve that many.
They got like yes.
Well, honestly, the SEC did show up. Tennessee had a great showing against Purdue. That was
they showed up eventually.
Yeah,
The SEC they got like I think like 8 or 9 bids.
they got destroyed in the first round or two, and then like Alabama showing up in the Final Four
Their
was
top
great.
teams deserved it.
Yeah.
The fringe teams did not.
No, not at all. There was a lot of questionable. That's also something college basketball is going to have to answer. Like, at what point do you want to see your great players like a Bub Carrington who's now in the transfer portal? Like,
no, he's declared for the draft.
Oh, he declared for the draft. Oh, didn't know that. Didn't see that. But even if he was in the transfer portal, let's just say, or maybe he goes back, like you want that guy in the NCAA tournament to make a name for himself, and you just don't have that happening. And that's the shame of it all for me with college basketball. It's like, I understand you love the 16 seeds and the conference wins and whatnot, but what benefit does having a Howard, a Stetson in the tournament, do Wagner State, I think was one of the 16 seeds this year. Like, what benefit does that have versus getting a team like Pitt in there so you can see some of their players who might actually go into the draft at one point?
Yeah. It's just tough.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It'll be some interesting changes.
Let's expand March Madness to
340 teams.
That's it. Yep.
So that report was so dumb. I think did we talk about that last episode?
We
yeah.
did, yeah.
Go listen. You go back and listen to our last episode. It's titled March Madness. God, that was so infuriating.
The round of 132.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The last thing you need is UConn playing like
sub 72 seed.
Like our pickup team, like you, me, us three, Andres and Jacob. That's like the equivalent of what UConn's going to be playing in the first round.
We're running 2 power forwards.
Yeah,
we don't have a true center.
I'm chucking up half court shots every time. It does not matter.
I mean, that would be the equivalent of like UConn playing like
Andres is going to look like Isaiah Thomas.
If we make a basket, that's it.
Honestly, that's a win.
I'm 5'10" and I'm the small forward of the team.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough. Dude, I'm going to be a monster in the paint. I'm throwing only elbows. I'm falling out. I'm fouling
Burns.
out. Dude, I'm fouling out in the first like 7 minutes.
Doing a big transition to the NBA. Right now, there's a lot of chaos in the NBA, and I love it because I love NBA chaos. So there are so many different playoff combinations right now, and the best way we're going to kind of go through it is we're going to go down by teams currently that are like on the bubble and just kind of talk about what we think about them, where they're at, and then we can kind of discuss some of those scenarios. So,
all right. So let's start with the Wizards.
The top team.
Don't make me rant about the Wizards yet. So let's start with the Sixers. All right.
So the Sixers fringe bubble.
So right now,
7, right?
So right now the Sixers are the 7th seed. They're a game out of the 6th seed, a game and a half out of the 4 and 5 seed. They are on a 6-game winning streak since Joel Embiid has come back. And they have games against the Magic left, and then I'll have to pull them up.
Our schedule is pretty. The Sixers schedule is pretty weak after.
It is. Magic. Well, there's only a couple. Granted, all this again. We're doing this on Wednesday.
All the games are going to be this weekend.
There's barely any games left. The Sixers play the Magic, and they play the Nets, and then they're done. Yeah. So there's 2 games left.
Ben Simmons steps up and
Ben Simmons out.
He is. Oh, we're good.
Now Ben Simmons glass shatters. Dun-dun. So Ben Simmons comes out the tunnel.
There's a lot of things here that can go the Sixers' way. The Magic, for example, have the Bucks tonight, the Sixers, and then the Bucks again. Now Giannis is hurt, and we'll get into the Bucks and all their situation later. But there's a very real possibility here with a little bit of help. The Sixers don't control their own destiny; they need help. That they can get up into the 6th seed and 5 seed. But that's all hypothetical. Let's talk about the team itself. Where do we see the Sixers going in the playoff run? Like, what do they need to have happen? Like,
I mean, we need Buddy Hield to be shooting good. That's the one missing piece we're missing. We never really had a true 3-point shooter. Maxi's our point. Well, when Maxi was there, I guess he was shooting guard because Harden was taking it up, but now Maxi's running point. Having Buddy Hield there as a good 3-point shooter as an outlet option all the time because he's been nailing threes all the time. Please bench Tobias. Make him play off the
I
bench.
thought Tobias Harris was doing well since you chirped him.
No,
he had one good game.
one good game. That's it. Ricky Council's pretty good at basketball.
Yeah, I'll say this about the Sixers. For anybody who's like, there was this whole, we talked about this when they were debating if Embiid was going to come back this year. The Sixers are 3.5 games out of the second seed. Embiid missed 20 games.
Yeah.
Embiid and Maxey on the court this year have an 80% nearly win percentage. Like nobody wants to play this basketball team. They are going to win their first round matchup as long as they don't play the Celtics.
Yeah, probably.
They might win their second round. This idea out
let's not
there.
get ahead of ourselves with the second round. I'm still scarred.
It drives me up the wall because people are having these debate. All this stuff. The Sixers are 3.5 games out of the second seed. Embiid had a meniscus injury. And Maxey's been out for so many games.
We had Kelly Oubre and Buddy Hield carrying the team.
Yeah, people love to talk about how, the West is so much better than the East when it comes to that because the depth of the teams. But you get a team like the Sixers, yes, the Celtics are far and away the best team in the East, but
by 14 games.
By 14 games. But below that, it's a bloodbath.
It's
really close.
So this is the chaos of the East, right? The Bucks are 14 games back of the Celtics. Then the Knicks are 1 game back of the Bucks. The Magic are 2 games back of the Bucks. The Magic are 1 game back of the Knicks. The Cleveland and Orlando have the same exact record. The Pacers are half a game out of the Cavs and Magic, and the only thing they have different is they have 1 more in the loss category. So that could just be changed tonight. And then the Sixers are a game back of the Pacers.
Yeah.
And the Heat are half a game back of the Sixers. And then there's the fall off. It is a lot could happen here. There's a complete world in which the Orlando Magic end up in the play-in game because they could lose to the Bucks tonight, the Sixers and the Bucks again.
Yeah.
If that happens, which is possible, even if Giannis isn't playing, you could have the Magic who currently hold the 4 seed
fall all the way to
the play-in game,
Yeah.
and the Sixers could be a 5 seed, and you got to match up with them against the Pacers or the Cavs, and you're the Sixers are just outright favored.
Yeah, just straight up favored. That could happen all within the next 3 days.
Yep.
It is. This season, I feel more than in past seasons, it's coming down to the wire for seeding.
It's going to be so chaotic, and it's super exciting for just the Eastern Conference matchups. For example, the Sixers, especially with the Giannis injury, they might be Vegas favorites in every single series.
Oh yeah, they could.
Besides the Celtics series,
they absolutely could be.
If Giannis is going to be out for 1 or 2 games, if you haven't heard, he has calf strain. So we don't know how long he'll be out for. He's a dog, so we might be able to there. But also, they haven't been a good team with Giannis
without him.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Embiid Maxey win rate is something that I think is really crucial to highlight here. They have won 6 straight since he's come back. This is a team that you do not want to see. The Pacers, Cavs, Magic, Knicks, Bucks, they are all teams that are thinking, if we lose our last game of the season, we could avoid
Sixers,
if you're the Bucks and if you lose your last game of the season against the Magic, you end up falling to the 4. But by doing so, you avoid the 2 seed, which means you avoid the Sixers if they win the play-in game. You do that. You lose the game.
Yeah.
Why would you want to see Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey in the first round versus seeing a team like Cleveland or Indiana, even though the Bucks and Indiana have some history.
They're not bad by any means, but it's you would just much rather play the worst team in the playoffs.
You don't want to see.
Exactly.
Do you think the Orlando Magic are going to be happy to see the Sixers in the first round? The Sixers are going to be favored to win in 6.
Yeah.
It might not even be a series. It's something that I think is super fascinating having this team there right now. So
I will say this might be the most confident I've been in the Sixers in a while
because they just win games.
And that's the thing. Pound for pound, I will take our support players over most of the teams in the playoffs right now.
Oh yeah.
Oubre's going crazy. I hope we extend him. He belongs in Philly. Even we have Lowry, who's still
he's not hard on the eyes either.
I know, yeah, exactly.
All right.
We have Kyle Lowry, solid rotational vet. Ricky Council's been playing well. Who's the guy we got from the Bucks? What was his name?
Pat Bev?
No. The guy we traded Pat Bev. Campaign, right?
Campaign, yeah.
Yeah, he's been solid off the bench too. And Tobias is our crutch right now, honestly.
Dare I say I have hope for the Sixers because this is the most well-rounded this team has been in a while.
I was just about to say
so we say our crutch is Tobias Harris, but Maxey and Embiid have not played much together because Maxey's been having his own injury issue. If you start having Kelly, Embiid, Maxey, Buddy, Kyle Lowry off the bench. You start having this whole like system. D'Anthony Melton just came back for his first game the other day. Like you start being like, we don't need Tobias. Like the frustration with Tobias was that Embiid was out and he wouldn't help. He couldn't carry any anything at all. So he wasn't like our standing was probably could be 3 or 4 right now if Harris had showed up a little bit. But you don't need him to show up in a big way when you have Embiid there and playing as good as he is. So.
Like we have Kelly Oubre dropping double doubles.
Yeah.
Like this is like going from George Niang shooting threes to Buddy Hield shooting threes is such a change of pace.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun, and they can do a lot of things with their lineups now, right?
Yeah.
You go small, Maxey, Melton, Hield, and you got a lot of spacing there, a lot of defense, some defensive potential, and then play like Oubre and Embiid, and you've really got a 4-out system. Embiid on the inside can play 5 out there, or you can kind of make the team a little bit bigger, play Batum, Oubre, Embiid, and then play like a Melton and then a Maxey, or play Kyle Lowry off the bench, or you play Tobias. Like I didn't even mention Tobias in those lineups yet, and then you play Tobias with Paul Reed and like kind of run the bench a little bit more. Like you have a lot of exciting variations for the Sixers. I'm really excited because I think regardless of the situation, like if they stay in the play-in game, it's going to be a fun first round game against the Heat, and if they lose the game, of course it's going to be like like win or go home against the Bulls or the Hawks, which that's just going to be fun in general. Even if we get the Celtics in the first round, like the Celtics are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
Like I don't think we'll win the series against them, but Celtics are going to be pissed off if they have to play the Sixers in the first round. They're going to be like, damn it, like we got to play Embiid again.
Yeah.
They don't have Horford right now.
Exactly.
I know they have Horford, they don't have Robert Williams.
Yes.
So like they've got a little bit less potential to deal with that. So like it's very exciting.
Yeah.
Whereas like before I felt like this team had kind of like hit a plateau a little bit.
You're building up and getting this team in the right spot it needs to be at the right time.
Yeah. What matchup do you think is best for the Sixers in the first round that's reasonable? Like what's the matchup you want to see, and then what's the best case for them?
Best case, well, it also depends on if Giannis comes back, because I feel like if Giannis doesn't come back, if you play the Bucks, you're smoking them. Like because there's nobody on that team that's going to be able to guard Embiid. Like period. I think, so I think that would probably be ideal for them. Something I would want. I mean, obviously, we're all going to be hyping up Knicks Sixers because we want to do that. Even the
group chat would be crazy.
The group chat would go crazy, even though Julius Randle is going to be out, which sucks. And I mean, that was kind of like a big hit for the Knicks. I would love to see it because it would just be hilarious. Something I'm trying to think because
I think Sixers playing the Magic would just be a bloodbath.
I was just about to say the Magic was going to be
Magic would be ideal.
Yeah.
Just
now it's going to be tough to get that matchup because you're looking at the Sixers.
They're just like in weird spots.
Well, because if the Sixers beat the Magic, they're going to get a game up on them, and then the Magic will come down. So maybe it's a 6-3, maybe it's a 5-4 with the Magic.
Yeah.
I think it's a matchup where you just look at the Vegas sports books and just go, Sixers are just going to win that matchup. But also, I don't really want the Sixers to fall into the 4-5 because that means they have to play the Celtics in the second round. So my ideal seeding for the Sixers is 6. I think you would end up with like the Knicks or the Magic, maybe the Cavs. You're playing them. That's a good first round matchup for me. And then you play the Bucks in the second round, which I think Giannis could be healthy for that series if they win their first round matchup against it would be the Heat probably at that point. But like I'll take the Bucks. Like they haven't looked good all year.
Yeah.
And then God, imagine this was the year we made the Eastern Conference Finals after
all that.
The meniscus injury, the hope.
Just be crazy.
It'd be crazy. So I'm very excited about the Sixers. Dare I say I have hope.
And we also made a bet with one of our friends who's a Celtics fan that, I did personally. So if the Sixers beat the Celtics, he has to get a Kyle Lowry Sixers jersey.
Dude, that's an iconic jersey.
If the Celtics lose to the Sixers in any playoff game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Series, yep, but
wait,
the series.
Oh,
game.
Jesus.
Game
I was like, any game?
Game would have been free.
Okay. So that's a lot on the Sixers. Going down, we don't have to talk much about the Celtics. They're far and away the 1 seed.
Yeah.
They'll be favored in any round 1 series. There's not much going on with them. 2, the Bucks. Chaos. Chaos.
Doc Rivers. Dude, we need to see a Doc Rivers versus Sixers matchup.
That's why I was saying the Bucks.
I forgot Doc was on the team.
Well, someone talked about this today on a sports show. This is like Doc Rivers loves this. Giannis is injured. This is his perfect excuse.
Perfect excuse.
Perfect excuse.
The biggest scapegoat.
He loves making excuses, and then this time he could just be like, "I mean, what do you want me to do? Our player strained his calf. I didn't want him to hurt his Achilles, so we didn't play him in the series. What were we supposed to get out of the first round without Giannis?
Dude,
like, what did you want from us?
Giannis.
I took the team over in the middle of the year. It was hard." That's exactly what he's going to say. But the Bucks are a mess. They're 4-6 in their last 10. This is with Giannis. They don't have a good they are not a good team with Giannis right now. Again, they are in this hunt with all these other teams, and they've have relatively stayed out of injury problems for a lot of the year. They've just been bad. Like this is the Sixers are 3.5 games back to them only because Embiid missed all this time. So I think they are a team that's in like disarray right now. They're 18-20 on the road. So they have a lot to prove in this playoff run, and you start to hear the whispers of, what do we do? You traded Drew Holiday, who won the championship with you, for Dame Lillard. Okay, that's not really working out. You got off Mike Budenholzer. You hired Adrian Griffin. You fired him quickly. You fired Terry Stotts before the year started because he wasn't getting along with Adrian Griffin. You fired Adrian Griffin. You bring in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is making excuses. You're not really that good of a team. Now Giannis is hurt. It's like, this team's a disaster.
Yeah.
And they won. We thought they were going to go on a big run after you win the championship against the Suns a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Giannis drops 50 in a game 6 or game 7. I forget which one it was.
6, I think.
Yeah. To close out that series, you think, okay, this might be the Bucks' time. Suddenly, I'm like, I don't really actually see the future for the Bucks.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Dame Lillard's getting older. You traded for him. You didn't have a good year this year. You're going to fire another head coach. Like,
I think the Dame trade might have been like hindsight bias, but like looking back at it now, it's like that Dame trade. Yeah,
it's like, what if you did too much with the trade? Like, you tried to overcomplicate your team, go too much on the star power side of things. Now, this could all be, again, this is all before the playoffs. They might just dominate the playoffs and get to the Eastern Conference Finals against Celtics and whatnot. But I wouldn't be shocked to see a team like the Knicks give them 6-7 good games.
Yeah.
Because
hell, the Magic could, honestly, if they end up in that spot.
Okay, I'm not a Magic guy.
It'd be
Orlando Magic.
It'd be a damn shame if Giannis ended up on the Knicks.
Well, let's talk about the Knicks now.
Shame, yeah.
The 3 seed, they're still fighting. They could be the 2 seed. They could be the 6 seed at this point.
Very solid
going
overall.
Of course, the bad news that came through for Knicks fans is Julius Randle is out for the playoffs. That's a big blow. I think that kind of like destroys any chances.
OG and
he's back.
He's going to be back.
Okay.
Everybody else is back besides Julius Randle, which sucks because it's like, they're playing really well right now.
The Villanova Knicks.
Exactly. The Villanova Knicks are playing so well. And it just sucks because like Randle, as much as New York literally wanted this dude hung and quartered last year for being bad in the playoffs, he really had a bounce back year. He was playing very, very solid, and they kind of needed that kind of bigger depth piece up front, like because they got some decent big men, nobody like super notable, but they have like some decent big men up front. They got some great shooters. Not Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson is incredible. And by the way, the Dallas Mavericks, you are so dumb. I'm sorry. You're literally cavemen for letting him go. But whatever. He was going to take a cheaper deal. You're the dumbest human beings on the planet. Anyway. But like he is performing so well. He had like 45 the other night. It like Josh Hart's playing pretty well. Like
DiVincenzo
shooting well. Like everybody's playing well. And then we just don't have the one guy that kind of brings it all together in Julius Randle, which sucks. But I think they'll be decent in the playoffs. I don't think they'll be like super deep.
Here's where I see this team. They can win a game against the Magic, the Cavs. They can win a series against the Magic, Cavs, Pacers. Maybe
they're not going to make it out of the second round.
Maybe the Bucks. It wouldn't. I would feel the same way with Julius Randle. Maybe I'd say they could make the Eastern Conference Finals with him. I just get concerned with the Knicks about how much star potential they have because OG Anunoby's good. He's not a star. Jalen Brunson is a star.
But he's a star point guard.
Yeah,
that's
and he's small, and we've had it. Steph Curry is the only small point guard that's really been able to like lead their championship team in the last decade.
Because like they have good defensive big men, not an offensive big man, and that's what they need. That's what Julius Randle kind of was because he's more of like a small forward kind of thing. But it'd be a shame if Giannis ended up there.
You can take Mo Bamba.
No, and honestly, I think a matchup with the Sixers would be really bad for the Knicks
because we just have nobody that can really counter Embiid offensively. Because like defensively, you can like try to slow him down, but then he's going to get every single foul call on the planet, so it's not really going to make a difference.
And like you can do some interesting things there. I think like the Sixers guard play with Lowry, who I mean he's not the athlete he used to be, but he was known in his prime for being a good defensive guard. D'Anthony Melton's a good defensive guard. Tyrese Maxey plays some gritty defense. He's more similarly sized to Jalen Brunson. I think there's some interesting things you can do on the guard side of things to try to slow down Jalen Brunson.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not going to stop Jalen Brunson, but you can try to slow him down. The Knicks are going to have a really tough time guarding Embiid.
Because like the thing is like you can't because even trying, not even just guarding Embiid, but like offensively, it's like you got to be able to counter that kind of thing. And like they just don't have,
because even if you double Embiid, he'll just kick it out to Buddy.
Exactly.
Or
So it's like
Maxey
there's no real way to counter it, because then it's like, because then it gets into the point where it's like, okay, well, if we can't stop him, we're just going to outshoot him.
Yep.
And like they just don't have that kind of talent unless every single three decides to hit in the same night, and then it's like, okay, fine. They scored 100.
I think the best thing the Knicks have done this year is like they're going to be competitive. I hope they, for their sake, for your fan base sake, like it would be cool for you to win the series again. I think a matchup with the Cavs and winning that again, going second round would be good. You just need that one more star. Yeah. Obviously, that's Giannis. Obviously, that's what you want to be Giannis for. But you need the one more star. Again, I'll keep saying it like throughout the entire playoff predictions. Stars win in the NBA playoffs. You need to have one of the top 5, at worst case, top 10 players in the league. So if I don't think Jalen Brunson's a top 10 player in the league.
No.
So the Knicks are not going to win the playoffs or go that deep.
Be a shame if the Knicks drafted Bronny James.
Okay.
Have LeBron in his career in New York.
That'd be crazy.
They'll bring him a ring.
Those like ticket prices would be so high.
They might be $10,000.
Yeah. It would be ridiculous. Moving down to Orlando Magic. This is the team that's just happy to be here.
Yeah.
They're young.
Magic.
They're here. We had some chirping in our group chat today about the Magic. Somebody was saying that they were good. I'm sorry, the Magic, not that good of a team. They are 2 games back of being the 8th seed, and this is in a conference that's just been riddled by injuries and like poor teams all year. That like I think they're just really happy to be here. Again, similar to the Bucks, they're 18-21 on the road, and they don't win against 500 teams. So like on the road against a team like the Sixers, like I just think they lose both games outright.
Sorry, I was just literally just checking the group chat
so
to see what everybody was saying about the Magic.
You're gonna lose all 3 games on the road against a lot of these teams, and then like you have to win all 4 at home if you have home court. Like I just think it's a tough path.
Yeah.
They're a team that's really predicated on their defense. They're not really a good offensive team, and it's like your defense is great, but like how are you going to be able to score? Like you need to score against.
You're
these
not
teams.
holding these teams to 70 points.
No, like. They've been fun this year.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of positive steps for them. I just don't see them like making a big impact in the playoffs.
But it's going to be very good for them to make the playoffs.
Yes, 100%.
To be able to say like, look, young roster, a lot of talent here, made it. We just need some stars now.
Yeah. I think for a guy like Paolo Banchero, just to get him on TV more.
Oh my God. He is so you don't hear a peep.
Nope.
Not a peep about him. And he averages like 20 and 10.
Yeah, Paolo, like we talked about a little bit, Paolo had a great rookie year.
Yeah.
He was a number 1 overall pick. People thought that might have been drafted. He might have been overdrafted at number 1. I love the pick personally. I said I would do that, so that's a good take by me. Said it on the podcast 2 years ago. But like he was a number 1 overall pick. He had a great rookie year last year. Made some good progress this year. He doesn't have a great team around him. They drafted Jalen Suggs. He had a terrible first year, and he's been better this year. So just they've made these good moves, and I think it's good that they're in the playoffs. But I just don't think I don't see them winning. I don't see them winning a first round series.
They're not doing anything.
The Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that's been all over the place all year. They could win a series, I think.
They could,
because they could run into like the Pacers, the Magic.
Are these the under 500 merchants?
No. Oh, they might be. I don't know.
Yes, they were at one point.
No, you're right, because we talked about this on the podcast where they were like 1 in like it was early season. They were like 2 in like 12 against teams over 500,
and then they were undefeated,
28 and 0 against other teams. Yeah. They're gonna have a really tough time in the playoffs beating winning teams.
Yeah.
But I think their core of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, I think Evan Mobley might be out. Jared Allen, like those guys, they can offer a little bit more star power against a team like the Magic. I'm not sure if they can beat anybody else.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Knicks just outright beat them last year, and the Knicks are better this year. They'll lose Julius Randle, but I still think without Julius Randle, they're still a better team than last year.
Absolutely. Also, Donovan Mitchell. Could have chosen the Knicks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks are pretty happy they didn't do that now.
Absolutely.
And then the Indiana Pacers.
Just bet the over.
Yep.
just bet the over.
They are going to be shooting the lights out the gym.
They're fun. They'll be a fun playoff team.
Yeah.
Talking about the Pacers. Sorry, our mics died, of course. We can never get through an episode without some type of difficulty. Cursed batteries. And I wish I could just plug this into the wall, but whatever. Anyway, Pacers, they'll be fun. I don't see them going that far. Like if they won a first round, that'd be cool. That's about it.
It's going to be great for betting when you bet the over on every player stats.
But now let's talk about the Miami Heat, because they are like the looming 8th seed right now. Again, they notoriously made a run as an 8th seed last year. They're just chilling at the 8th spot right now. They could maybe move up a little bit, but like, what do we think about the Heat?
They're not going to do a miracle run again. Let's be very clear. They're not.
I think whatever happens, wherever they end up, their first round exit, and we're going to be like, nah. Like,
see, I hope they play the Celtics just because it would be so funny if Jimmy Butler knocks the Celtics out the playoffs.
I think that team lost so much depth this past offseason. And they're just not the same team that they were when they were an 8 seed. When they were the 8 seed before, they were much more like what the Sixers are now, where it's like they could be really dangerous. But now they're kind of just like,
Who do they have? It's Butler, Bam, the dude from UCLA,
and that's
Jaime,
it.
and then Duncan,
Tyler Robinson, Tyler Hero's hurt.
Well, damn.
Again,
that's it.
All I want for Christmas is for Miami Heat to get swept. I'm so sick of this team. If people don't know, I'm a certified Miami Heat hater. I just don't like how again, Jimmy Butler always has a little bit of injuries, whatever. Tyler Hero obviously hurt. For the most part, this team has been intact all year, and they are the 8 seed. Again, when there's been so much guys. The Knicks have been hurt all year. Yeah. Jalen Brunson has been out for some time.
Randall's been out forever.
Randall's been out forever. OG was hurt after you traded for him. RJ Barrett was hurt before that. They've been injured all year. The Bucks have been a disaster. This is the year to get them and be a higher seed than them. Didn't happen. The Cavs have been injured this year. The Pacers and Magic, you don't actually think they're good teams. The Sixers lost the MVP of the league for 30 games this year. And they're still a higher seed than you at the moment. It kills me that they're they're in this 8 spot. And that's why I just want them to go play the Celtics and just get whacked.
See, I just want to see the Celtics lose because the path for the Sixers gets
that would literally
easier.
Be free. You would get a one-way ticket to getting swept by the Denver Nuggets.
I would.
That's okay.
I would gladly be swept by the Denver Nuggets. Just to make the finals.
I just want to see us make it out the second round.
Also, Embiid owns Jokic, so we would not get swept.
Oh wow, it would be a gentleman's sweep. Oh no.
So if you here's a question: Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, first round series. Who wins?
Heat versus Bucks.
The 2-7 matchup.
The Bucks still win.
The Bucks
they
still should. Win.
Although it's playoff Jimmy.
And Giannis might not play.
I think the Heat would win.
They could. I could
especially with a little bit.
It's the bubble all over
It's the bubble all over again.
I think with a little bit of a tweak cap from Giannis.
Was also last year when Jimmy Butler was sideways shooting the bank shot to win.
I hate to say it, but I think with a little bit of a tweak cap from Giannis.
Oh no.
Bam Adebayo is a great defensive matchup for him.
Wait, if the Heat beat the Bucks, does that mean they have to play the Celtics the next round?
There's no reseeding.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Wait, is there?
Wait.
No. I don't think so. That wasn't.
Give me a second.
I don't think so.
If there is reseeding, oh no.
Oh, good lord.
Have Jimmy knock out the 2 top seeds for us?
Dude, literally just make it so free.
No, they aren't. They aren't reseeded.
Okay,
Sorry, I get the NBA and NFL mix up because actually this only happens once every year if you think about this. So no reseeding. So it would be a second round series would be again, it's so hard right now to tell with the matchups. It would be the winner of the 3-6, which right now would be the Knicks Pacers. But yeah, I'm a little bit concerned with the Heat. But I just don't. I want the Sixers to just get out of the play-in spot with the Heat.
Yeah.
Because I prefer not to be the 8 seed. Again, you don't want to play the Celtics in the first round. Because they've been so good this year. But that's the East. I think we're all still feeling confident the Celtics will make it out of the East.
It should be the Celtics.
But there will be some bloodbath series at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
I think the Sixers narrative is super fun. Sneaky little Atlanta Hawks team could maybe come in.
Oh my god!
What would hit crack is the Sixers destroying Miami in a play-in game, then the Atlanta Hawks winning, Atlanta Hawks coming up and just beating the crap out of Miami. Miami doesn't even make the playoffs. Oh my! I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy.
Justin is foaming at the mouth.
He hates the Heat. What about Heat culture? Miami Vice jerseys.
The Heat. Oh god, I gotta put a timestamp in for that.
So are we gonna move on to the West now?
Ooh, we got LeBron versus Steph as a potential play-in.
Dude, weren't they playing 2 years ago?
Oh, last year.
I was about to say I feel like they've been playing each other recently in the play-ins.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm making up last year.
2 years ago.
I thought
it was 2 years ago, I think.
You absolute rat bastards. I was right, wasn't I?
I think it was 2 years ago, yeah.
You bastards.
That was Lakers in Minnesota last year.
Anyway. Yeah, that's right. That was didn't Cat sell last season?
Yeah, Cat sold.
The Cat always sells.
Well, Cat was terrible in that series. Ant was good. Ant might also be the other son of Michael Jordan, but we'll ignore that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last night, again, recording on Wednesday, Tuesday, the Warriors beat the Lakers, which put a big problem in the playing game because the Lakers at one point had moved up to the 7 line.
Yeah.
And there was oh, could they get out of the playing game? Now they're oh my God, are they gonna they don't control their own destiny? They don't have the tiebreaker over the Warriors, so they could just be the 10 seed outright because the Warriors have played one less game than them. So now you're looking at a situation where the Lakers might be the 10 seed.
Yeah.
Which means they win 2 games on the road just to make the playoffs. Which is just super fascinating. Yeah. When the funny thing is, all these teams actually pretty good. The Lakers,
they could both beat any team in the league besides the Nuggets because Joker always does the stupidest crap against them, or lose to any team in the league. 100%. It literally just depends on who decides to show up that game.
Basically,
it's so fascinating. There's so many storylines. I mean, the way we think about this is the Mavericks are the 5 seed, right? 2 games back of them is the Pelicans. 1 game back of the Pelicans is the Suns. 1 game back of the Suns are the Kings.
Is Ramadan still going on?
Today was the last day. I think.
Yeah.
Damn it, no more Ramadan Kyrie.
Yeah. And then half a game back of the Kings are the Lakers, and half a game back of the Lakers are the Warriors. It's all stacked in there. There's so many possibilities, so it'll be fun. But at the top, we have the Timberwolves and Nuggets who are tied for the 1-2 matchup. The fun part is they play each other tonight on ESPN at 10:30.
Damn it! Why is the game so late?
It's going to hit like crack.
God.
I'm gonna bet on this game.
And what's fun also is Cat's coming back from his injury. He might be back for the playoffs.
I'm betting the Cat over.
So, he's not playing tonight. But he's coming back. So very interesting 1-2. The Nuggets win tonight. They get the 1 seed, and of course we know how good the Nuggets are at home. They just don't lose. So that would be scary. But then they have 2 seed being the Timberwolves is scary with Cat, Gobert, Edwards, all of them there.
Yeah.
And the 3 line, you get the Thunder. They'll hold that spot. They're only 1 game out. They probably don't climb up at this point so late in the season. But not really. I say that, but if they win tonight, I don't know if they play tonight, but they win their next game, and the Timberwolves or Nuggets lose a game, they could end up being 2 seed.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have the Clippers, 2 game gap down the Mavericks, and I wanted to talk about the Mavericks here.
They look so cool. Man.
9-1 in their last 10 games.
They look so good.
Ramadan
Kyrie has been utterly ridiculous over this past couple weeks.
What I wanted to mention is there was a series where the Clippers and Mavericks played recently, and Luka just destroyed them. That was the year that they beat. That was the year they made the conference finals, and they beat LeBron. Not LeBron. They beat the Suns that year. That was the year that
the infamous everybody acted tough when they
And so I think a Mavericks Clippers series with Luka would be so fun. I would absolutely pick the Mavericks.
Oh my God, because they just as I say this all the time with any sports team, they need to get good at the right time. The Mavs are getting good exactly at the right time, and they look horrifying right now.
The guard plays out of this world.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have enough big man talent to compete with the best
they
teams.
Look ridiculous.
Yeah, and I absolutely think it'll probably end up being a Clippers. Because Clippers are pretty much locked in the 4 seed. If they lose out and teams win out, maybe they could flip 4 or 5. But for the most part, it's going to be the Mavericks and Clippers, depending on who has home court at this point.
God, that's going to be so much fun, dude.
So fun. Let's talk about the Pelicans holding the 6th spot right now. A game back of them are the Suns.
Zion is no longer fat.
But this is the key part with them is the 6-7 line's a big deal because the play-in's going to be so good. You could be the Pelicans right now in the playoffs playing the Thunder, which you'd be pretty happy with. But you could just lose out.
Yeah.
You could lose to the Kings who hold the 8th seed right now and then lose to the Lakers and then suddenly you're done. You're done. You're not even in the playoffs right now. So the Suns play the Clippers. They lost last night to the Clippers. That was bad. They played the Clippers again tonight on a back-to-back. If you're the Suns, you need to get out of the 7th spot.
Yeah. How are the Suns the 7th seed?
They've been injured. They've been so injured this year.
Just because
they've been so injured all year.
Has Beal played at all?
I don't even know how many games. I'll do some research real quick, but there's been a very short number of games that Beal, Booker, and Durant have all played.
I was just about to say because I feel like that was the big sort of blockbuster thing where it was they're making another super team. Kevin Durant's a fraud. He only plays at super teams, and then Beal just hasn't played at all. Booker, I haven't heard a peep from Booker all year.
He's been having 50-point games as of recent, but that's it.
But that's my thing is he's been obviously he's still Devin Booker. He's still really, really good at basketball. But I just haven't heard much about the Suns because it's just they kind of just lose. And it's just I don't know. They got Kevin Durant, they got Devin Booker, and then after that, I don't know. It's weird. But I mean, Justin, you getting the last things up right now?
Well, I have January like report. Like they played 7-4 games.
Once the season ends, they'll probably come out with like that kind of
yeah.
report.
But like they have not played many games with all three of them intact.
It's like the Nets situation all over
Yeah,
again.
it literally is the big three Nets where none of them are on the court at the same time. So it just doesn't matter.
They had a rough start. I still think it's a situation where you don't want to play that team. Like if you're the
I'm
gonna say Mavericks and Clippers are locked in. If you're like the Thunder and you're like, gosh, we had to go play Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal in the first round. Like, no, we're good. Like, no, I don't want to do that. The Nuggets probably don't care. Even the Timberwolves, like, they don't want to play them either.
Yeah.
Like, they're just a very scary team, and they're holding the 7 line right now. Like, yeah, if you're the 2 seed Timberwolves, would you prefer just to lose out and get the 3 line so you don't have to play the Suns in the first round?
Yeah, because you don't then want like, oh well, you have a great team. Don't worry, but Kevin Durant decided to up 50 in multiple games.
Also, some people might forget because I feel like that era of basketball is a little bit lost. Like the Suns have a lot of championship experience on their team. Devin Booker was in the championship. People forget that the Suns made the finals one year, and then Kevin Durant is an NBA championship. Yeah. Like they know how to play in the playoffs. Their games translate well to the playoffs. So playing a team like the Timberwolves, who have had putrid playoff success, or play in success because they don't even make the playoffs sometimes. And when they do, they celebrate like they won the finals.
Oh my God, I forgot about that meme.
So, I think them playing the team like the Suns is like the worst case scenario right there. But they're an interesting team to be on the playing bubble because they would be right now matched up with the Kings.
Yeah,
and like a win or go home. Not technically
but
go home, but like winner game, go home game. And of course, you got the Lakers and Warriors who just like it feels
year,
like LeBron and Steph like
they
won't
have to
leave us alone, but they just keep coming from like the low seed.
It's just the old heads who are like, remember the good old days.
Yeah, remember the good old days 8 years ago? Yeah, I remember that.
LeBron's playing with like former players, kids now.
Oh yeah.
He's probably gonna play with his son if the LeBron draft's about to start.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the potential for the Lakers or the Warriors to make a run in the playoffs this year?
Lakers have a much better chance of making a run than the Warriors.
The Warriors have the CP3 curse on them now.
The Warriors, A, have the CP3 curse. B, Draymond Green is tearing that team apart from the inside.
He went 5 for 5 from 3.
Oh,
somehow.
God, yeah, once. After he decided to actually stay on the court and not punch somebody in the face for once. I mean, like, I think the Lakers have A, the talent, B, the experience, and C, they literally have proven they can beat any team in the league if they decide to.
Yeah.
But of course, they could just decide not to and get bounced in the first round or not even make the playoffs.
Very possible.
So they lose to the Warriors and just get
Exactly. So it really depends. Obviously Steph Curry is still unbelievable, but I just don't know if like that the way the roster is built now, I just don't know if they still have like the talent there to
Clay is pretty much washed now.
He's basically washed. And then what they have, I mean, Gary Payton Jr. is still pretty good on defense and everything, but like besides Steph, like who else do they have on offense?
Yeah, I think I know the Warriors have been playing well. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. They beat the Lakers last night. I think when you get into like they can scheme for like you can scheme for one team specifically. There's a lot of deficiencies there. Like look at the Lakers. The Warriors are going to have a really tough time with their size. Obviously, Kuminga guards LeBron, Draymond guards AD. Okay,
yeah, that's going to go well.
You can do that. Does that go well? Probably not.
Well, you know what? It will go well because they're just going to tell Draymond to just break Anthony Davis's knees. And
you're right.
Win, so.
But like even the Kings matchup, like it's just like they played the Warriors last year, in a tight 7-game series. Like they're not better team
and
this
the
year.
Kings are they're basically in the same position they were last year, but I mean they could shoot the lights out the gym again. They're similar to like the Pacers, where they could just like look, they might lose, but they're going to be putting up 140 points.
Light the beacon.
So I don't
light the beam.
I don't see the Warriors making a run, and they're not going to beat the Nuggets or the Timberwolves. I'm pretty confident in. Those are the 1 and 2 seeds.
I'd hope.
So they can only end up being the 8th seed. So the matchup, like likely, unless the Thunder just like kind of go on a little run here, they're going to play either the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. I don't see them.
They're not beating either of those.
They're not beating either of those teams. So therefore, they have no potential to make a run.
Yeah.
If they could play the Thunder, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently. I still don't think I would feel any differently. The Lakers obviously do. I think people forget like this team won the play-in tournament, and like it was an early season thing, but it was a small representative picture of what could happen in a winner takes all, one game. We're going to scheme against you and play our best basketball with a lot of energy and a lot of focus. And they won the whole thing. And they played like the Pelicans were playing great at the time. They were the 1 seed, I think, at the time. They beat them. The Pacers were playing great at the time. Beat them. Like they beat these good teams in the play-in tournament. They were terrible after the play-in tournament for a little bit. That's why their seeding is so bad. But they've been really good. Like I don't know. Like I think people looked at the game yesterday and was like, "Oh, they lost.
They're terrible."
They didn't have AD. The Warriors shot the best percentage from three
the
for
entire
teams
year.
that shoot over 43s.
Yeah,
it's the greatest 3-point shooting game in the history, and they beat the Lakers by 7.
Yeah,
and Darvin Ham
wait, by 7.
And Darvin Ham sold.
Yeah.
Like he played this lineup that played 0 minutes all year. They got outscored 15-5.
Oh my god!
In the end of the third quarter, so the Lakers were down like an extra 10 points going into.
So like they had quite possibly the stars align, and they only won by 7
without AD on the court.
Mm.
And people are like, "See, I told you,
the Lakers are frauds.
The Lakers are frauds. The Warriors are a team to be like reckoned with." Like,
it's like
no,
that's not happening. Four games in a row.
I can almost promise you, the Lakers are going to beat the Warriors in a first-round play-in matchup, and everyone's gonna be like,
"How'd that happen?"
Damn, like I really thought the Warriors can make a run here. Like Steph Curry's cool, but it's just Steph Curry and like Jonathan Kuminga. Like it's Steph, Kuminga, and that is not better than LeBron and AD.
Like,
and then the Lakers players are better on the side. So unless the Warriors again have a great shooting performance, they're not going to beat the Lakers in a winner and take all game. They're not going to beat the Nuggets. They're not going to beat the Timberwolves. Therefore, they have no chance of making a run. They're also 1-4 in overtime games, and that's a little bit concerning.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
this is gonna be a bloodbath.
Yeah. The NBA as a whole right now is super exciting.
It's gonna be so
like
much
there's
fun,
just
dude.
a lot of fun
I haven't
things.
seen a playoff picture like this where
it's like
this
everybody's
close.
kind of like, well, besides Boston, but the thing is like below Boston, everybody's still
the
beating
Boston's
crap.
regular season versions.
Let's look at the games tonight, right? And this is just how crazy seeding is. Grizzlies, Cavs, a game that you would think means nothing for the Grizzlies. It means everything for the Cavs. Like if the Cavs lose the game, they might get down to the play-in game. So like, we think the Cavs will win the game. The Grizzlies are not really playing anyone right now. They're in tank mode.
Yeah.
But what if the Grizzlies win?
Yeah.
Like the Cavs are like it's a big game. Mavericks Heat is more important for the Heat than the Mavericks, but the Mavericks still want to win games. They still can maybe move up and get home court advantage. Like that's huge. If the Heat lose, they're pretty much going to get the 8 seed.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have to play Boston they could play the first round game, but they won't have home court for it. The Mavericks, again, want to continue the success of having their great team. Raptors, Nets doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hornets, Hawks. It does matter for the Hawks because they could get home court in a winner-takes-all game against the Bulls. So that matters a little bit. Spurs, Thunder. The Thunder first of all, is a Chet Wemby matchup, which is fun.
Yeah.
But also, the Thunder need to win to have still a chance to get to the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Bucks Magic without Giannis is huge. Like we talked about that. Like the Magic are like a game and a half out of the Bucks. The Bucks are games from falling down. The Magic need to avoid fall into the play-in game. The Timberwolves and Nuggets are playing for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference
right now
at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Then the Suns play the Clippers again. The Suns are on the playoff
window.
Edge. It's huge.
Yeah. This is
it's awesome. And then we have like games on Thursday that matter. Knicks, Celtics.
Huge game.
You forgot the Pistons.
Huh?
What?
You forgot the Pistons.
The Bulls play the Pistons.
Yeah.
Rockets, Jazz doesn't matter. The Pelicans play the Kings. The Kings are in the play-in game right now. Could move up to the 6th. Like if the Kings win that game and the Pelicans lose, the Pelicans could fall into the play-in game. The Kings could leapfrog and get into the actual playoffs.
Yeah.
Then the Warriors play this game against the Trailblazers, which is going to matter for seeding.
Yeah.
Then the day after that, you have a matchup, Sixers and Magic, which is
another huge game.
The Pacers and Cavs play each other. They're both teams that look they're
like 4 and 5.
Right now they're 5 and 6.
Yeah, like 5 and 6. Like
one of those teams, if they lose, like if the Cavs lose tonight, they lose against the Pacers, they're gonna drop to the 7th seed. Like that's so important.
And this is all the last 3 games of the season.
Yep. And then there's this like small game here that like is different conference. The Bucks Thunder. The Bucks have to play the Magic, the Thunder, and the Magic again.
Yeah.
To get their seeding. They could fall. Let me look at the seeding again. It's just like mind-boggling.
If the Bucks lose out, they could fall to. Is 3 games left?
Yeah. 3 games.
If my math is right, I don't think it's possible for them to fall into a play-in, but
like close
6. Like there'd be like
so they would go from 2 to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sixers are 3.5 games back.
Mm-hmm.
The Pacers are 2.5 games back. They could fall to the 6.
Yeah.
Maybe not with tiebreakers, but like generally could fall to a 5-6 matchup, and they could lose all their 3 games outright because they're not playing like it's absolutely crazy. So much going on.
So for all those that say, "Oh, the NBA is boring," like none of the games matter. The games matter right now. If you're gonna watch at any time, now is the time to watch.
You don't watch NBA in March. You watch it in April.
Yes.
I don't like the NBA play-in game. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, whatever.
Even
This
a game
is-
late in the season. Lakers Pelicans
Yeah.
on 3:30 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday. That game is everything. Like the Lakers could move up if the Pelicans lose again. The Lakers are 2 games out of the Pelicans spot. Like that could still happen if the Pelicans lose out. Suns Timberwolves. Will the Timberwolves fall to the 3 seed? Can the
Everything.
fire me up?
Fire
the
me
NBA
up.
is back. We have the play-in game on April 16th, which is 6 short days away.
Uh-oh.
It's going to be very exciting.
Jesus Christ.
I'm here for the ride. A lot more basketball content to come.
I think I got to throw my futures bet down on the Sixers.
Oh boy, here we go.
So
You
our-
just cursed them.
So our plan for next week is going to be a little complicated with the NBA draft and with basketball. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about situations.
NFL
draft. Okay.
The next Tuesday we'll record. The playing games will be that night, so we'll kind of preview what the playoff picture looks like potentially, and then we're going to do our 2024 Coconut Curry mock drafts. We're gonna each be a team. We'll do. There's 32 teams.
Yeah.
We'll each pick 3 teams. Some people have one person will have 2
At
teams.
one,
And
I
we'll-
select Drake May.
We can make trades with each other.
We can make trades and everything, and then also we can do. We could also do points at the end and see who got the most points and see who wins.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Anything else, boys?
I like it.
No.
All right. Then we will
A
see.
lot of content.
If you made it this far, again, another long episode. If you made it this far, thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Give us that viewer retention. Other than that, we will see you next time.
Yeah.
Coconut Curry Podcast.
Reed Blankenship and Cooper DeJean are going to be a nasty duo.
DeJean?